Hello folks, in last few videos we have talked about features of Jenkins, we have talked about DevOps pipeline, and we have talked about how to install Jenkins on a Linux based system. Now in this video we are going to see the implementation of what we already talked about. So we are going to see that how Jenkins can integrate with Git, integrate with Maven build system, integrate with JUnit, and how it can be extended using plugin based system. So let's start from where we left last time in Jenkins installation video. In that video, we saw how to create EC2 instance and how to install Jenkins. So this is my server on which I am running Jenkins. This I have opened in Putty. So if you want to see, we can check whether my Jenkins is running or not. So Jenkins is running. In fact, we have started Jenkins and opened in a browser. So this is a project we have created. These are the two pipelines I have already configured. So this pipeline is already built for source code management, Maven build system is integrated, and JUnit unit test framework has been integrated with Jenkins. Before we come to Jenkins, let's go step by step and see how we are managing it on Git. So in Git, we have created a repository. This is my project name, EdYoda pipeline demo, and this is the code. Now this is a very simple code just for understanding the concept of it. This code is written in Java, and it is using Maven build system and JUnit for test framework. If you want to see the code, I'm inside the code. This is kept here at home ec2-user EdYoda pipeline demo. So here you can see I've got a pom.xml, I've got a assets.txt, which is a random file. The main code resides under server and web app. So basically it's a Maven project which is using two modules. Pom.xml is a root pom file. Now if you see, I have initialized this Git repository and I have pushed it on my github.com. And so this repository is basically connected to this repository on github.com. If you want to see the whole code and the directory structure, then hit tree command, and this is how it looks like. A pom.xml at the root level and pom.xml within each module. So if you know about Maven, this is how Maven works. To create a Maven based Java project, you need a root pom.xml and one pom.xml in each module. So one way here is we have already created a repository, so we can run Maven commands from here itself, say Maven clean. So I won't go into details of Maven build automation system here, but Maven basically uses something called goals, and you have to write Maven and the goal. So in last one I said mvn clean, which means clean all the precompiled files so that now it has only the source code. So this is the total source code that we have. So let's see how we have created the pipeline. After installation of Jenkins, I have gone and created a new item, which means creating a new pipeline, or you can also call it job. So these two have been created, and this is the one that I am working with, Maven Proj. Now whatever configuration I gave it while creating, all of that I can just see by clicking on this job and clicking on configure. So I can even edit it. This is demo project. Then you see under GitHub project, I have given the link to my GitHub repository, EdYoda pipeline demo. Now I want to go into details of all these things. We might have a different video where we'll be talking about all the features of Jenkins and all. In this particular video, I'll be concentrating on showing you how a DevOps or a Jenkins pipeline works. So I've already given the GitHub link here, and the same repository URL I have given here along with .git at the end of it. Now under the build trigger, this basically specifies that when do you want to hit the build, which event will basically trigger the pipeline. So you can always trigger a pipeline by clicking on build now. We'll see that. However, here we have integrated Github hook trigger for Git SCM polling, so that whenever there is someone changing something on GitHub, it pushes the event on Jenkins. Jenkins comes to know that something has changed in its source code and triggers a build. So how we integrate that? On my GitHub, I have gone into the settings and gone to the webhook, and here I have basically given this link, which is linked to my Jenkins server in this webhook. You can still edit it, but I've already configured it. So if you see, this is the same public IP :8080/github-webhook/. This format you need to give here, and if you see, it's the same server which is running here. So that's all I needed to do to come to this. Other than only what we have done is, since it's a Maven based project, so I have given root pom file, which is pom.xml, and my goal here is package. Now this goal is basically a Maven goal. In Maven you have got, as I said, multiple goals. So here you can write, instead of package, you can also write test, you can also write compile, you can write package, or you can write deploy. Multiple goals are there in Maven. So let's go here and see till test. So giving here test means it will take the code, compile the code, and also run the test cases. Now if you see the code here, the testing part is written here under the test folder. The server module has been tested using test_greeter.java, which is basically where JUnit test cases has been written. So there are two test cases which are written here. If you want to see them, just go to server src test java.com example and test_greeter.java. So if you see here, it has imported the JUnit module and it has written these two test cases, which are very simple. So in this particular project, we are using JUnit for our test framework and we are using Maven as our build system. Now everything seems to be fine here. I'll just save it. Now here, if you are not familiar with the Jenkins dashboard, most of the things are obvious here. You can see all the previous builds that have been executed here. Blue means it has been successful, red means it has failed. So Jenkins dashboard looks something like this. You can go into the Maven project and you can trigger the build manually by clicking here on build now. Within a few seconds, it will start building it. Build here is defined by what goal you have given in your configuration. So remember, we have given here the goal of test, which means it will take the code, compile the code, and run those JUnit test cases. So here it's blue, it means it has successfully built the code. If you want to see the console output, you can click on the build and go to console output. Here it gives a basically detail about what it has done. So it started by user admin. I am the admin on this dashboard, and then you see it has fetched the code from the repository that I have provided in my configuration. Finally, it has started building the project and it has also executed those test cases. So for the server module, it has run two test cases and both of them has passed. For the other web app module, there is no test case written, and so there is no run and there is no failure. And finally, it has finished successfully. Now if you see, we are still here doing builds manually. So manually you can do a build, but what I want is, I want that every time my developers write a code, change the code in some way and push it on GitHub, it should get automatically triggered on Jenkins. So I have already configured it in that way by using Git Webhook that I just showed. And now if you go here, let's do some changes. This assist.txt is basically, we don't need it. So what I can do is rm-f assist.txt. I can see using git status. It has been removed. If you don't know what do mean by git status and what is happening here, go to our previous videos about git. So I'm going to add and commit, removing the assist.txt file. So keep an eye on the build number. We have done 12 builds and last build has been successful. Now I am going to push this change on my repository, git push, provide my credentials. So from my workstation, I am actually pushing the code on GitHub repository. Let's see what effect it has on my pipeline. So go to project and see, it has actually started a build and now it's build number 13. So this build automatically got started. As soon as you push the code, it is a tiny project, so it completed the build within few seconds. If you want to see that what happened here, go to this particular build, click on this, and you can see the changes that triggered the build. Removing the assist.txt file. This is what we provided in the commit. Started by GitHub push by Ashish R. Pandey. So as soon as I changed the code and pushed it on my GitHub repository, this webhook worked. It pushed the code on to Jenkins server, and then finally Jenkins triggered the build. If you want to see more console output, here you can see started by GitHub push by Ashish R. Pandey. It checked out all the code from my repository, the latest code, including the removal of assist.txt file, and then it again built it and then executed the test case. Finally, it has been successful. So you see, this project is actually called continuous integration. You are managing the code using Git source code management. You are building it by Maven. So Jenkins is basically using Maven to do the build, and it's also invoking JUnit to do the testing. So source code management, build automation and testing process has been integrated here. This is what we call continuous integration. So every time somebody pushes the code, it automatically triggers the build. If there is a build success, then it will go on and run your test cases and prepare a test report. If it is not successful, then it will get a failure, build failure, and it will send a notification to whatever you have configured. So it doesn't end here. If you now want to integrate things like your provisioning tools like Chef, etc., and you want to deploy it on, say, something like Docker or maybe something like cloud or on-premise servers, you can do it by first integrating the plugin systems. So you can go to Manage Jenkins, and there you can go to Available, and here you can search for Docker plugins. So here you see there is a Docker plugin here. We just need to install this plugin, click on this, install the plugin, and you'll get appropriate features on your Jenkins so that you can integrate it there. How to do that? That you can find from this information page about Docker plugin. To install it, you just need to click here and install without restart, or download now and install after restart. So once you do this, you'll find that in configuration of the project, in post build steps, you'll find new options to deploy it on Docker. If I do install without restart, it's going to install the Docker API and Docker 2 plugins. It's installing Docker API because it must be a dependency on Docker plugin. It might take some time. Here it is automatically going to the source of this plugin, downloading it and installing on my Jenkins server. So this is what I said, that you can customize Jenkins in whatever way you want. There are thousands of plugins out there. You can pick and choose based on what you need. You can go and find out the plugin. Mostly for every DevOps tool, you will find a plugin for Jenkins and you can integrate with your Jenkins. Now once these plugins gets installed, you can go to your configuration of jobs and you'll find out that there are new options in the build and post build drop downs. Back to dashboard. If you want to see that, go to project and configure. Now since Docker would of course be used for deployment, now you see here you can add post build steps, and here you see build publish Docker image. So whatever you have created till now, which is basically your Maven project image, you can convert it into a Docker image and publish it over something like dockerhub.com. So the plugin that you installed, due to this you are getting this particular option. Now if you click on this, and if you provide now a proper Docker file with all the proper directives, then Jenkins will also take the image, convert it into Docker image, and it will push the image to the proper location. So for this, of course, you need to know how to work with Docker, how to create a Docker file, and how to push the image. So similar to this, you can also integrate things like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, etc. to provision your servers, and you can almost integrate any DevOps tools by using Jenkins plugins. Once you install the plugins, you will get a lot of other options here. For example, right now for source code management, you just have Git and SVN. If you see here, you got Git. Another option is using SVN. But suppose you are not seeing here TFS, which is another source code management tool. What you just need to do is go to the plugin manage page, search for TFS plugin, integrate it, and you'll find a new option here named TFS. TFS basically is a short form of Team Foundation Server, a source code management tool provided by Microsoft. So now you must have realized the power of Jenkins and why it is such a great tool for creating your DevOps pipeline and integrating various stages of DevOps. So that's all in this particular video. See you soon again.